Today I'm going to give you 6 principles to help break through your instant gratification mindset when it comes to fitness and health. Now I know for a lot of you, it's hard to be consistent when you feel like you're putting in all the work. You feel like you're dialed in on your nutrition. You feel like you're focused in the gym. But yet when you look at the scale, when you look at the results you're getting, you get frustrated. You feel like you should just quit because it's a waste of your time and energy. If that's where you're at, then this podcast is going to be incredibly helpful for you. My name is Brian Pickowitz, and I'm one of the head coaches of the Fitness Project, where we focus on building fit and healthy leaders. And to bring these principles to life, I want to compare fitness to another area in life where people want instant results, namely investing. And to do that, I'm going to lean on a great trusted mentor, Warren Buffett. Now, this book, Snowball, is a personal favorite of mine. If you haven't read it, I highly encourage you to. This book is a masterclass on how to think of investing, life, and business. Now, you might be saying to yourself, what does Warren Buffett and investing have to do with fitness and nutrition? After all, Warren Buffett is known for his Diet Coke and McDonald's diet. Where does it all fit in? Well, for the years, I have been coaching business owners, leaders, professionals, and executives on how to get healthy, how to get fit. How do you actually get the results that you want with your physical body, but do it in a way that allows them to stick? And the problem oftentimes has very little to do with training and nutrition. And in fact, it has everything to do with the way you think, has the way you process your emotions, has everything to do with the way you handle stress, and more importantly, the way you look at progress. And so as I was thinking about the message that I wanted to give for so many people who are stuck and feeling like their results should be there in 30 days, I couldn't help but compare the two. Because with investing, a lot of people want instant results. They think, I should be there already. I just need to get rich quick. And they lack the true understanding of how to think long term. And that's why so many people don't get to where they want to be. And so I don't want you to be like that. I want you to be able to borrow principles from one master, someone who has the greatest track record of investing ever, and start to apply those principles for your life too. And so starting off, if you love this video, give it a thumbs up, give me a comment below, and let me know your takeaway as we dive in. But I want to give you these 6 principles. That's where we're going to start. And so the first principle from Warren Buffett is play the long tail game. Now, Warren Buffett began investing when he was 11 years old. And in fact, he did not make his first billion until he was 65, which means for almost 50 plus years, he was investing in learning. And I think that that's what we miss. People know that there's value in compound interest, but they don't understand and they do not value the compounding of skills, beliefs, and decisions. When you think of investing for the long tail, yeah, you have to keep investing, but Warren Buffett lived through almost 13 recessions. Right? I believe the number is actually 14. But he lived through all those recessions where he kept following his principles. There were so many different examples in his life where businesses that he purchased that he had to turn around. The most significant of that is Berkshire Hathaway, which is the company that he still is the chairman of today. He said, that's the worst investment I ever made in my life, and I had to figure out how to turn it around. There's been all these personal challenges and all these different economic challenges. Living through the 60s, living through the 70s, living through the 80s, living through the dot-com bubble, living through the real estate crash. And still, he followed the same principles. And that's not just because he was making money. That's because he was making decisions. And so for yourself, how can you think long term? How can you think with the long tail in mind about where you want to be in your health and fitness journey? That might start by asking yourself, where do I want to be in 3 months, or 6 months, or 12 months? Where do I want to be 5 years from now? Or where do I want to be a decade from now? If you can shift from short-term thinking to long-tail thinking, you will be more successful and you will actually get the results that you want. So principle number 1 is shift to long tail thinking. Number 2 is remember the power of compounding. Now, I've already alluded to this a little bit, not just compounding in your finances or not just compounding in your weight loss, but compounding in your skills, your knowledge, your abilities, the decisions that you make compound as well. For Buffett, the majority of his wealth was built after 65. He became a billionaire when he was 65, but the majority of his wealth was built between his 70s, 80s, and 90s. So for yourself, you have to think, how can I start to leverage compound interest in my habits? We've talked oftentimes about 1% gains, leveraging James Clear's Atomic Habits principle. How can I get 1% better today? If you get 1% better today, every day for a year, you will be almost 38% better by the end of that year. So think with that in mind. Leverage that same compound interest principle for your health, for your fitness. Remember that once the foundation is raised, everything on top of it gets easier. Set your foundation, and if you don't have a foundation, that's where you have to start. Lean on that principle of building your foundation and continue to make small wins until they accrue into massive gains. Principle number 3 is avoid emotional investing. Now, Buffett will oftentimes talk about how to be a successful investor, you do not need to have a high IQ. You have to have the right EQ. You have to have the right temperament and character. And in fact, one of his quotes is, if you cannot control your emotions, you cannot control your money. Think about that. Think of how many people allow their emotions to drive their behavior. And it's the same thing with fitness and health. Your emotions will derail your progress more than not knowing what to eat well. Allowing yourself to be derailed by frustration and stress, or turning to food whenever you've had a bad day. If you do not control your emotions will derail your progress. And so developing a sense of EQ, emotional intelligence, the ability to understand what you're feeling, process what you're feeling, and then channel it in a different direction is one of the most valuable principles to getting in shape, to getting healthy. Because if you don't learn how to manage your emotions, then they'll always direct you towards your old patterns. And at this point, my guess is if you aren't healthy, your patterns are when you are stressed, when you're anxious, when you're overwhelmed, when you're frustrated, when you're discouraged, food or alcohol or skipping the workout are the patterns you turn to. And that's not judgment, that's awareness. If you can build awareness around that, then you can change. And so 3, avoid emotional decisions. Avoid emotional investing. Principle number 4 is start sooner. And if you can't start sooner, begin today. And one of the things I alluded to earlier was that Buffett began investing when he was 11, which means he had all of his teenage years and his young adulthood to learn sound foundational principles for investing. Those became his pillars and his foundation for the rest of his life. Now, when it comes to health and fitness, I think a lot of us would have liked to have had that same foundation. We would have liked to have had healthier role models, or we would have liked to have had healthier parents, or people who taught us how to work out or taught us healthy nutrition. You know, for a lot of people, they come from a background where food was either scarce or it was a reward. It was always this celebration. And so it became ingrained in them that this is how we approach food. And it's really unfortunate when you start to look at your habits and you see all these habits that I have are in conflict with me getting progress. And then when you trace them back, you see, these are all things I learned in my childhood, or I learned in my teenage years, or I learned when I was an athlete. Right? I talk to athletes all the time who are like, man, I struggle with food because I always had to be the big guy, right? Or women who heard from their mom all their life about dieting and dieting and dieting, and it just became ingrained in them. And so it's hard when you look at where you are and you say, man, I wish I would have had better examples. I wish I would have had better role models. I wish I would have learned this sooner. If that's the case, the wonderful news is you can start today. If you aren't healthy yet, you can change the course. And the way you do that is by beginning to make better decisions. If you make better decisions from here forward and you commit yourself to changing your habits, your focus, and the part of your identity that says, I have to be this way, if you can upgrade your identity to become someone who is healthy, who values taking care of themselves, you can start seeing amazing results, amazing progress, because you're never finished. You'll always have a body to take care of. So remember that. It would have been nice to start earlier. It's even better to start today. And the quote I want to draw from is, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. So start today and watch how that has a ripple effect across your life. Principle number 5 is find better references, find better mentors, and surround yourself with people who want to make you grow. Buffett is not Buffett because of his own luck and chance. Warren Buffett became the greatest investor because of the people he surrounded himself with, namely Charlie Munger and Benjamin Graham. Now, Benjamin Graham was his professor when he was in college who taught him value investing. He gave him the foundational principles of investing that would lead to his initial success. While he was on that path, though, he met Charlie Munger, who took the teachings of Benjamin Graham and upgraded them, taught him how to invest in businesses that were undervalued, but that were great businesses. And that's where his wealth really expanded. Now, why do I share that in relativity to your health? Well, we are the sum of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So if you're spending time with people who aren't healthy, who complain, who aren't taking care of themselves, you're going to be the 6th. In this season, if you do not have healthy references, you have to go get them. You have to start putting yourself in communities with people who take care of themselves, who value their health, who show up on the hard days. If you start to surround yourself with winners, you'll start being a winner too. The quote that I want to draw from here is from Buffett. It's better to hang out with people better than you. Pick associates whose behavior is better than yours, and you'll drift in that direction. Focus on who you surround yourself with. Get better mentors, get better references, and you'll see your health change too. And the last principle is there are no shortcuts. And there was a great interview years ago with Warren Buffett and Jeff Bezos. And Bezos said to Buffett, Warren, your investing principles are so sound. They make so much sense and they work so well. I don't know why more people don't follow them. To which Buffett replied, it's because no one wants to get rich slow. Now, I understand that if you're frustrated with your body, if you're frustrated with your results, if your clothes don't fit right, it can be really upsetting. And you do want to see results fast. And this is an emotional experience, right? If you've been battling your body, or it feels like you've been battling your body for years, I can understand why you want the results to come quickly. The truth is, though, the results will only come if you focus on the long tail. If you're patient, if you work hard, and you focus on the decisions and behaviors that will get you results. A lot of times, all we need is a dose of patience. And we have to remember that even the things that do work in the short term will not work in the long term. If you think about GLP-1s, think about weight loss medications. They only work so long as you're taking the drug. If you do not have the other foundational habits in place, as soon as the medication's gone, you're going to rebound. You're going to gain everything back. And so it doesn't mean you can't take them, it just means that you have to focus on having the other foundational habits in place first. If you're healthy, if you move, if you train hard, you will see great results. And just like investing, a little hard work and patience pays off in the long term. So these are the principles. Focus on the long tail. Remember compound interest. Focus on controlling your emotions. Start today. Surround yourself with hungry, healthy, and successful people. And remember, there are no shortcuts. I hope this has been helpful. Let me know below what your biggest takeaway was. And more than anything, use these principles and go out and conquer your day. Cheers.